What's going on, reefers? Blaine here. In today's video, we are continuing on with our Coral Spotlight series, and in today's video, we're focusing in on Scolymia. Whether it be the amazing feeding responses, the intense colors, or everything that has to do with these amazing LPS corals, today we're gonna dive in on some of the care requirements, check out some of them here at TSA, and talk all things Scolymia. Let's dive in. When we think of LPS corals, large polyp stony corals in general, we can say there are a lot of those corals that become showpieces in reef aquariums. Scolymia are no exception to that, and sometimes are the final crown jewel reefers are adding into their tanks as the final touch. The selection that we typically bring in here are always mind-blowing at Top Shelf. In the hobby, we know of 3 species that are brought in and sold, and those are the following: Scolymia australis, Scolymia vidiensis, and Croc Island Scolys. Out of these 3 we just mentioned, Scolymia australis is going to be the most available species of Scolymia in the hobby, and that most reef keepers are picking up from their local fish stores or at trade shows. We typically bring in quite a few of the Scolymia australis here at Top Shelf, and it's one of our top choices when it comes to species of Scolymia to keep in reef tanks. Some of the main reasons for this is due to the fact australis having a wide variety of patterns and colors widely available. Speaking of these wild patterns and colors, there are a lot of widely accepted names of patterns for Scolymia in the hobby, such as bleeding apple, UFO, and much more. One of the most highly sought after patterns though in the hobby is the Master Scoly. A Master Scoly is a Scolymia that has a group of 3 colors or more that truly brings out an amazing pattern and vibrancy of colors. You can see and hear a couple selection that we have at Top Shelf. They are to die for, and obviously would be the crown jewel or the cherry on top of the sundae when it came to a reef tank. Let's get into some of the care requirements for Scolymia. Scolymia are photosynthetic, but they're not going to be demanding high levels of PAR in a reef tank. We have seen them in anywhere from 20 to 150 PAR. These are going to be corals hanging out in the lower light areas, and for most reef keepers, they end up placing them onto the sand bed or down low in their reef tank. In addition, Scolymia are known for sometimes gaining and also losing colors over time in different lights and light fixtures that are going to be over them in their forever tanks. For a while here in the aquarium trade, hobbyists said that LEDs couldn't properly keep these corals happy, but as you can see here in our storefront, there are many Scolymia under our LED lighting doing exceptionally well. When we're looking at Scolymia though, a good practice to keep in mind is trying to provide the right spectrum of light for these corals rather than the PAR. Since we're not too worried about the intensity of the light schedule, we should be more focused on the spectrum and the colors that we're providing to these corals for their zooxanthellae. Now that we've talked about lighting these corals up, let's get into what type of flow Scolys are going to be happy to enjoy. Flow for all corals is going to be important, and it's primarily important for Scolymia to help defer any detritus buildup occurring. So Scolymia are going to enjoy a range from low to medium flow. The last thing you want though is to have waste buildup around the mouth area, inhibiting its ability to get any feedings in. So flow is going to be important for these large polyp stony corals. Earlier in the video, we mentioned that we see these corals typically on the sand bed of reef tanks. A unique aspect of Scolymia that I must give credit to Jake Adams is the way that they're naturally found out in the wild most time, which is that they're vertically on the rockwork. We tend to see them in the sand bed and placed horizontally, where in nature they are seen vertically hanging on these rocks. Jake created an amazing scape to showcase this years back. I'll be sure to link the video down below in the description so you guys can check out that scape. It was a really cool tank, and it was really cool to see how he set up that system and how specifically he set it up for the Australian corals and specifically the Scolys. Overall though, that video always made me reconsider things whenever I would see a Scolymia in reef tanks that are just chilling on a sand bed. Mounting them vertically can also be beneficial post any feedings, because if they're digesting, it won't get caught up on their oral disc and be sitting there. It can be able to whisk away and go into the flow. When it comes to your water parameters, we are going to continue to beat the drum we always beat here at Top Shelf Aquatics, and that is consistency. Obviously important, you have the proper levels of alkalinity, calcium and magnesium, so it can naturally build up its stony skeleton, but we are always trying to be as close to natural seawater levels as we can be. And here at Top Shelf, we are striving to be consistent rather than trying to hit specific numbers. Another quick tip about Scolymia that I was given by Chris Meckley over at ACI Aquaculture is that they tend to fare better in cooler temperatures. So we're talking anywhere from 77 degrees Fahrenheit and a little bit under is where we're gonna see Scolymia thriving. And don't worry, your other corals too won't mind being in those cooler temperatures as well. LPS corals in general usually have some of the best responses to feeding time. Scolymia are a picture-perfect example of that. If you're looking for a coral that really enjoys a good feeding and has quite the response, getting a Scoly into your reef should be a high priority on your list. We have fed them a variety of foods here at TSA, from frozen to pellets to a paste we make from coral foods, and also our phytoplanktons and aminos. Every animal is going to be different though, but we tend to lean towards our coral paste that we utilize in the majority of our feedings and systems. It does make it nice that the same things you're feeding your fish, frozen food-wise, you can give your Scolymia as well. Overall though, ensuring you're giving them feedings every few days so is extremely beneficial and important for their health, but also allowing the time in between to digest is going to be essential for these Scolymias to have success. Something that makes Scolymia a little bit more interesting is their inability to be quickly fragged up and aquacultured. The corals themselves can be fragged, and here at TSA we have experimented with that, and Kevin has mentioned it in previous videos, but it's a long and slow game when it comes to these corals being aquacultured. They're also readily available currently in the hobby, so it doesn't make entirely a ton of sense to dedicate a ton of aquaculture space and time for Scoly projects. Here at TSA though, we do pride ourselves in knowing that we can be able to begin and start up a much more dedicated aquaculture project for Scolymia if there was a situation where certain areas were shut down and we couldn't bring them in. But at the moment, it doesn't make entirely a ton of sense to be dedicating the time, space, and fragging for these Scolymia. And also, what better way to be able to enjoy the entire piece itself rather than frag it up. There's also scenarios that we have heard and seen where broadcast spawning events can occur when large collection of specimens are brought together into a facility. If you've been having success with LPS corals lately and been wanting to add in a showpiece coral, maybe it's time you try your hand at your own Scoly. I had a ton of fun in this video talking about some of the care requirements for Scolymia and showcasing some of our favorites that are currently here at TSA. If you saw any that you're really excited about and you need in your reef tank at home, be sure to head over to the website now and check out the TSA Vault. If you guys have hung out all the way till the end, I want to say thank you very much. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future uploads.